there are many lives that we can live in this one life. I don't believe that this life was intended to provide one road and that's all we take and that's all we see. We're supposed to experience many different things. In terms of careers, it's okay to pursue different passions, to try different things, because what's beautiful about that is that every experience gives you a breadcrumb. It's a trail that leads you to something beyond what you've ever dreamed of. Taking all of your experiences and making them into something. I'll tell you a little bit about where I'm coming from. I started off in business and then I moved to higher education. I taught in a university setting for many years. Then I took on a leadership position and I transitioned to executive coaching, corporate training, and consulting. A lot of my work revolves around writing, communicating, and creating. That is where I'm coming from. But over the past 10 years, I studied mindfulness, presence, awareness, all kinds of personal development strategies, because I felt like that is the missing link. We can study business, we can achieve certain goals, we get to the milestone, but we feel unfulfilled a lot of the times. That is my purpose for every day of my life, is just to figure out how can we live with more balance, with more alignment in terms of living what we desire in every moment. And I know not every moment is what we want it to be, but how can we take that with ease and thrive instead of constantly striving? We want to thrive. We don't want to be in stress. So, how do we do that? There are strategies I could share on this channel, but I want to get across the road which I've taken and where I am now. I worked for several years managing businesses in retail and manufacturing. What did that give me? I was in the fashion industry and it helped me develop a certain aesthetic that I like. And I was able to train and communicate with people on a daily basis. I learned how to run a business. From that point on, I went on to teach in a university and teach other people how to run businesses. I taught for such a long time and I became a dean. From that point on, I did corporate training. I taught communication skills, presentation skills, and leadership skills, executive coaching. And what I saw, the common thread throughout, was that you can achieve your goals and you still be left with a feeling of not fulfilled. And as a teacher, coach, and trainer, that bothered me. I felt like we weren't giving the whole package, the entire toolbox. So I went on to study mindfulness, awareness, presence, and other personal development strategies. What I realized was, for me, this was the missing link. It was, how do you deal with uncertainty? Because our lives are uncertain. How do you deal with when something's not clear for you, where you don't know what to do next? How do you deal with all of that? How do you deal? You're depressed and you don't know why, or you have a low energy. Everything pisses you off and you're reactive and you don't understand. How do you be more balanced? How do you be more calm? Like, all of these questions were going through my mind because I also struggled with this, the reactivity, the uncertainty. It was difficult to deal with that. I didn't feel like I was given the tools. So I studied mindfulness and presence. Today, I want to share what I'm learning. I want to share the path I'm on. I want to share that with you. And if you're interested, I'd love for you to follow along. I also write articles, but I'll be developing this content, doing YouTube videos and some Instagram videos. We'll see. Depends how much time I have on my hands to do this very time consuming thing. The point is that one of the things that really moved the needle for me was to develop a sense of awareness, a sense of, what is my mind saying that is causing me to feel turmoil? I knew what my mind was saying, but I thought that those thoughts were me and they were real. and that I had to act on everything that my mind was thinking. And then I started to understand that it's just passing phenomena. It's just like the weather, like the clouds in the sky. To be more accurate with the way that I've experienced the clouds, is that one day I was at the beach and I saw these perfectly still clouds. And they looked like they weren't moving and they were so beautiful and round and just something that even if you took a picture, it wouldn't have given it justice. So I'm looking out there and I see the clouds and I'm sitting at a cafe and someone came over all of a sudden. So I got distracted for a minute and I turned my head to look back at the clouds and they've changed. The entire sky has changed. It's a different picture. So the moral of the story is that the clouds are like our thoughts. And this is talked about a lot in the mindfulness arena, but I thought it was important to talk about here too because it's a really great analogy. Another one is just like when you're dreaming. Have you ever had a dream that's a lucid dream where you realize that, wait, this is a dream and you wake up? That's the same thing with your thoughts, is that you can wake up from that story that is playing in your mind and you don't have to follow it and build more stories around that and more stories around those emotions that are involved. Let's say you have a thought that puts you into a stressful feeling and you have anxiety because of the thoughts you're thinking. You don't have to focus so much on it and make more thoughts, make another chapter to that story, full series. And then you end up feeling really bad after a while. So the idea for this channel, and again, it's a work in progress, as you know how YouTube is and how any of these creative projects go. But I'm going to do my best to bring forward ideas that are going to help whoever is out there watching, especially if you're like me, that has struggled with the thoughts in your head, being reactive or worried, anxious, and stressed, and to find a better path to in life with more clarity, purpose, with more presence, and with more awareness overall. We can do this. These are skills. They're trainable. Your mind can be trained. You can think thoughts that will make you feel good. But it's really not about good or bad because if you've noticed, the minute you have a really good thought or something good happens, you're automatically afraid you're going to lose that feeling or something's going to happen. So if that's you, you can follow along. I'll be talking more about that. Okay. So I want to send you a lot of love, blessings, miracle moments, a lot of awareness. As a closing, I would recommend that we all take 5 minutes today to breathe, to meditate. You don't have to call it meditation. You can just sit outside, listen to the sound of the wind or the sound of nature, whatever's out there. You can just listen into that and breathe and be present with that moment. So no pressure, just take some time, 5 to 10 minutes for yourself. And hopefully I'll meet you back here. Have a great day.